Hi guys, I am Brittany of Brittany Sheehan Sleep. So today the Auggie team did not have a moderator who could join us. So I've done a bunch of these with Auggie, so I'm going to do it myself today, and hopefully it works okay. So I will tell you very quickly about myself, and then I want to get into the fun stuff. Make sure you guys have time to ask questions. So my name is Brittany. I am a pediatric sleep consultant and potty consultant. So I work with families from age 0 to 7. I do custom plans, so people will hire me for help with their baby's sleep needs or their toddler or child kids' sleep needs. And then I also have online courses for potty and for sleep for people who don't maybe need, to talk to me every day. They just want the information. And I have a podcast called The Snooze Button, which has new episodes every Wednesday. The one today is all about early wake ups and why they happen and what you should not do. And that's pretty much it. Okay. So, and I love doing these events. This is like my favorite thing. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about solo time with kids. And I want to say before I get into all of it that this is something I did not implement myself really until I had 3 kids, especially the adventure solo time. And as a mom myself who constantly deals with mom guilt, I'm a working mom of 3 kids. I want this to feel like aspirational and actionable and doable for you, not like rules that you have to do that if you don't have time or energy to do it, you are failing as a parent, because that's never the case, right? So I don't want anyone to leave here feeling like, well, I don't have time to do that. Okay, you're going to do what you can, and down the road, if you have time to do more, awesome. It does not matter. It is a personal choice. So we're going to talk first about why solo time matters and like what exactly that is, and then 2 types of solo time that you can implement if you want. One is weekly things, small moments that are just living your day-to-day life and finding pockets of time with your kids independently, and then adventure solo time, which is the bigger fun stuff. So the first thing, what is solo time? So at a high level, this is just a chance for your child to really be seen and heard, especially if you're somebody who's coming with 2 or more, like more than 2 kids, right? If you have 3 kids, which can just be a lot of chaos, or if you have a new baby at home and your toddler is starting to feel some kind of way, which is very, very normal. A chance for you to get into their world, which can be harder to do when you're dealing with like the daily chaos of life. So this is what, we hear this all the time, like life moves pretty fast, right? Like the days with kids, trust me, I had a night last night with my 3 kids where I was just like, I can't right now. I can't play. I can't do anything. It's been a long day. The days are slow, but the days are slow, but the years do go fast. And sometimes I think when we're all together as families, and this is true even if you just have like a newborn and a toddler, it's like everyone's there, like you and your partner are there, but no one's really like together, right? Like someone's cooking, someone's on their phone, someone's sleeping, someone's watching a show. And there's not really like, even though you're like, this is family time, it's like, we're not really all connecting. And sometimes then needs aren't being met. And that's just the reality of life. And it's not a bad thing, but there are ways that this solo time can kind of force you out of the grind of your life and thinking about stuff that you need to get done and just connecting with your child. And there really are like short and long-term benefits to doing that. So like why it matters, it's these small moments can have such a big payoff. Some of you may have heard that concept, like give them 5, they'll give you 30, which is an exaggeration, but like the general concept is like you pour into your kids a little bit initially, and then they are happy to kind of do their own thing. They just need that moment of connection. And it really does like support their emotional health to connect with you, to be able to talk with you, to let you into their world. And when we talk about the adventure time, that is core memory creating too. And obviously we cannot force our kids to have the core memories we want. We can't be like, don't you remember Christmas morning? Because I think we all do have those core memories as kids. Hopefully they're positive, and some of them were big events, but some of them might be something totally random. Like I have this really distinct memory of some girl's birthday party, don't know who she is, when I was like 3 or 4 and they had Cheetos, which I wasn't allowed to eat, and I like really remember it. So like they're going to remember what they remember, but studies have shown that it's often these like one-off adventure type things that kids tend to remember with their parents more than like the bigger holidays and birthday parties and things like that. So it's a moment to have that with your child and building and maintaining a long-term connection. So I read something recently in my continued education that really stuck with me. And I think it's so true, even thinking about myself and a lot of my friends and clients with their own parents, is that if basically as your kids are children, like when they're in their 18 years, they're under your roof. If a lot of your relationship is based on like, you have to do this so you can get this. It's like getting stuff and being told what to do versus building a real like relationship with them. At some point, you don't have anything to hold over their head. They're making their own money, they have their own friends. And if you haven't invested time in really connecting with them and building like a relationship where you don't need to have any stuff, they just want to talk to you because they love you and they trust you and they've always come to you for advice and they have a good time with you, you're fun, right? If you haven't been doing that all along, you don't have a relationship anymore. Your relationship was based on like, what can I give you and do for you? And all of a sudden, you can't really do anything for them when they're 35 or 40. But do they love you and they have a great relationship? So it is like building and maintaining that like lifelong connection. So we'll talk about the two different types, the weekly solo time and the adventure solo time. So for weekly, this is the stuff that when you're not in the newborn haze and you're not going through maybe some tough life stuff yourself, you can hopefully find time to implement. So the parameters on like weekly solo time with your kids, no screens. And that's like no screens. We don't have like, I mean, because I'm a big Yankees fan. So we don't have like a game on in the background. We're not like kind of on our phone. Like I just need to send one email. Like you are completely screen free. And even if, your partner's pedaling around doing something, maybe another sibling is, grandma's in the other room cooking, whatever, but there's no one else like involved in the activity. It's just you and one child. And it's ideally something that's led by them. So, especially for younger kids, for like toddlers and it's like, what do they like to do? So, you're not like, Johnny, you are going to learn your ABCs today. No, it's like, is he really into like Pokemon? Oh God, my kids went through that phase. Or like really into Legos. You're doing the thing that they're into. What solo time does not need to be. So this is meant to be like the weight off. It does not need to be every single day. It does not need to be for a long time. I'm not saying you need to dedicate 30 minutes after your long day at the office or after you've already been with your kids all day to do this big fancy event where you got to buy a bunch of crafts and make it this really Pinterest worthy. No, it doesn't even need to be outside of your house. And you don't have to be completely alone. The way your house is set up, you might have a nanny who's putting someone to bed or whatever. That's fine. The point is that the engagement piece is just you and your child. So, example activities. I love, because I know a lot of you probably have toddlers, lean into what I call the assistant era. I love the assistant era. All of my kids, my oldest is 8 and he is still in the assistant era. Kids like to do what you're doing. They want to be big. They want to be helpers. They want to get involved. So if you're the type of parent like me who doesn't actually love like playing dress up and playing Legos or whatever, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to do like make believe play. Listen, if your kid loves that and you kind of like it, absolutely do it. But a lot of kids like just being told you get to help me cook dinner. Like any of my kids, if I was like, do you want to help me do laundry? They'd be like, are you serious? Really? Like lean into that. So it doesn't need to be even a separate thing from what you typically do. It's letting them into a piece of your life that maybe otherwise you would usually be like, okay, guys, go play. Mommy has to cook dinner right now. And trust me, this does mean it's going to be harder and it's going to take longer. Obviously, your child painstakingly putting each sock individually into the hamper is going to take a lot longer. That's the trade-off, right? But just doing things that they enjoy and involving them in your world. And this also, if any of you have read the book Hunt, Gather, Parent, I love. Don't read the sleep section. It's insane. I would not recommend it. Everything else in that book, they talk a lot about bringing kids into your world. And later on, when you have a 12-year-old and you suddenly expect them to do chores, if for the first 11 years of their life, you were like, go downstairs and watch a show, I'm cooking, then why are we expecting them to suddenly be interested in like helping out around the house? So when you lean into this assistant phase, you are filling your kid's cup. They're excited to be with you doing something special. And you're literally training them to do chores and to like be happy to do it because it's always been what your family has done. So I love using the assistant era to have this solo time. Okay. Now we're going to talk about adventure solo time. So this is our like core memory building, soul filling excursion. And I'm going to tell you guys first how I came up with this idea. When I had my third, it was the first time that I had a full-time nanny and I was a full-time working mom where I was in different stages with my other two kids. And I really was so overwhelmed at home with a toddler and a preschooler and her. I have two older boys and a daughter who's now 3. And I was like, I just want to do something just with her. And I'm on maternity leave. Why not? I decided to book a hotel for one night and be with her. And it was literally my favorite day of my life, like overnight, 24 hours of my life. And I came back and was like, why don't I do this once a year? And I'm going to do it with all of my kids. And I have such cool takeaways from doing it. And I talk about this a lot with my clients. So here are the parameters. And of course, I had to include a picture of each of my kids during our different solo adventures we've done. So here's the parameters around solo adventure time. Ideally, you're away from home. Ideally, it's overnight. And again, I don't want this to feel overwhelming to anyone. This could be something, like I said, I didn't start it till I had 3 kids. This could be something that you're thinking about when my oldest is 5 or 10, we're going to do this. It could be a one-time thing. You're away from home ideally, and there's no other sibling or parent with you, right? You're by yourself. And ideally, the location is somewhere that's fun for them, but also fun for you. And that's going to be personal to each person. Maybe you guys both are really, like, you're really into camping, for instance, and that's something you would love to share with your child. So, like, go to a campsite and bring them. They will have the best time. Kids love camping, right? I like fancy hotels, frankly. So that's what I wanted to do. Other people like adventure. I had a friend who's like taken her own way when she saw me doing this, and she actually really enjoys things like Disney World and Legoland, so she like saves up and will take one of her kids to like Knott's Berry's farm. That sounds like my worst nightmare. She genuinely loves it. So lean into what you and your family are interested in, but the idea is that it's just you, and ideally you're away from the home, which I do think is an important part of the adventure solo time parameters. So why this matters so much, and again, I'm thinking of this not just in what feels awesome and like fun and connecting for you and your baby or toddler, but what it's going to feel like as they get older, because I've started to see this happen with my older kids, is it is establishing like this special tradition with them. My kids adore it. It's like they call it adventure time. They're like every year they look forward to it now. And it's really a chance to see your child in a new light. So like one of the most interesting takeaways I had with my middle son, this little guy right here, is his brother talks for him a lot. Like his brother is more talkative. He's older. He kind of followed his brother's lead. My son Baker, my middle guy, was later with talking. And the first time, I didn't do it with him until he was 3, his solo time. And I was blown away with how much he talked. I was like, oh my God, this kid is so talkative. He has so much to say, but it was almost like he had never really had a chance because he was always around his big brother. So it was a chance to see him in a totally different light. And with my oldest son, who was 5 the first time we did it, it was the first time he opened up about some stuff he was struggling with at preschool, which he could have told me. Of course, I do bedtime with him. There's plenty of times where I'm alone, but there's something about being like away from everything that gives you a chance to really relax and be open, and it allows them to too. And after I had that experience with him, I thought, as he gets older and we keep doing this, I want to hear when he's 12 about how like actually he's kind of been bullied. I hope not. Or like he kind of has a crush on this girl. Like you're creating an open space for that to happen in like a safe place where you are not distracted. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I had with all of them is I'm a type A person. I work full time. I have multiple kids. I have a husband who's basically my 4th child, right? I have a nanny I have to manage and whatever. So it's really hard. Even when I want to connect with my kids at home, it's really hard because somebody else needs a snack. Somebody else is crying. Like I need to unload the dishwasher. I need to put stuff in the dryer. So when you are you physically as the parent are outside of that, you can't do laundry. I block my calendar from work. Like I don't bring my laptop. I am completely free, and that allows me to relax, and it allows my kids to relax and really have these memories that can last for a lifetime. It truly is my 3 favorite days of the year. So my pro tips to make solo adventure time not feel completely untenable. One is you do not need to blow the budget. Camping was a great example I've seen people do, or consider using points. I have American Express for my credit card. I almost always use points. So I will find a hotel that fits the parameters for that kid. At this point, each of them has like their own kind of space they go to, and I use points. Or if you have a friend who like rents out a back house or an Airbnb or they're out of town for the summer, you're like, hey, can we go to Brooklyn and like just do one night at your house? I guarantee you your friends would be down to do that. So try not to feel like this is a really overwhelming budget thing. It doesn't need to be. And I also think it's a great opportunity to promote the concept to your kids of experiences over things, which I personally really subscribe to. Like I don't need a house full of toys and I don't need a closet full of shoes and bags, right? What I really love and remember from my own childhood and now with my own kids are doing things, experiences. So I've actually made this kind of a trade-off for my kids sometimes with other things, not the solo adventure time, but other things. Like I took this is my oldest son, Teddy. I took him to, there was like a Titanic, we live in LA now. There was a Titanic exhibit. It was like a 3D type of thing. And I did that as one of his big birthday presents. And it was just the two of us. So it wasn't an overnight, but that was just like an adventure the two of us did. I think the tickets were like $20. It wasn't that expensive, but it was like an experience we had versus just giving him like another Lego set. So that's a great way to look at this whole thing. It's like, okay, and you could even ask your kids, maybe they get to pick, right? Do you want to have a birthday party? Or like, do you want to go to Chuck E. Cheese with 30 of your friends? Or do you want me to take you to like a fancy hotel? We're going to go to the plaza. Because at the end of the day, those birthday parties can really add up. And sometimes you can actually save money doing this, and it's a better experience for your kids and for you. So I would also for sure, and again, not to make you guys feel pressured to do this like all the time or every year, wait for a time when it's tenable for you. Like if you are 3 weeks postpartum and recovering from a C-section, or you just switched jobs and like you really shouldn't be taking days off, or your partner is going through some health issues, like wait till it actually makes sense, because the intent of this is that you can disconnect and relax. And it would be better for you to wait and do it in 4 years than to do it now when you were like, I couldn't relax because I'd be thinking about the baby and how my husband doesn't know how to feed, they're refusing the bottle and like all that stuff, don't make it too hard on yourself. Okay. That was kind of short and sweet because that is all you need to know. That are all the things, but I want to make sure that you guys have plenty of time to ask questions if you do about this. Ariel said, I love your podcast. Yay, thanks. I hope I'm saying Ariel right. Ariel. But I'm so glad. The podcast is out tonight, girl, or today, so you can listen to it. Does anybody else have any questions about solo time, either like implementing the weekly ones or implementing overnight adventures? Anyone? I'll give you a few seconds if you do. No? I'm gonna get my water while I wait 1 second in case you guys do. Do you reckon each parent? How often? Okay, I'll answer Katrina's first. So I think that's personal. So I actually got the idea initially when I did it with my my baby, who's now 3, because my dad, my dad and I were very close. He passed away in my 20s. Another reason why this stuff, these are now lasting memories I have. He used to take me on date nights, starting when I was maybe 11, like 10 or 11. And we would just go out to dessert. There was like a nice kind of like inn, like a B&B near my house. And we would go to this like fancy like B&B place and go out for dessert. And I would like dress up. And we did it like once every few months. And then when my sister and I both turned 16, he took us on a week-long trip, like out of the country. And it was like an incredible experience, just the two of us. And that's kind of how I got the idea. My mom never did it with me. I still love my mom. So I think it's personal. My husband doesn't do it with my kids, but I have urged him to do it. He's like, I don't know, we don't have time. It's expensive. And I'm like, everything's expensive, but I would rather you do that than 4 nights of door dashing food to our house, So I think that's personal to each family and their capacity. How do you make solo time not feel like being a nanny? That is a fair question. Look at the ages. Yeah, I think, what's interesting though is, you guys know I'm a sleep consultant, so my kids are good sleepers. I think if you don't have good sleepers, it would be tougher for sure, because maybe they're like up all night in the hotel or something. That obviously isn't my experience, but I do think that when you are outside of and to be clear, to your point with your son or daughter being 1, I will say, I think that all of them have been amazing and fun, but probably the most tiring logistically one for me was when my daughter was 1, when she had just started walking, because then she was just like walking around the pool deck and I'm like following her. But it was still like, again, it has to be something you're interested in, like a place. So I really like fancy hotels. Like I'm an experienced person. So I got her dressed up in her fanciest dress. I like took her to the nice restaurant and got her like the little food and like taking pictures of her. And like, I found a way to make it really fun anyway. And I also look for hotels that really cater to kids and are like, they're not like annoyed when you have a kid at a nice restaurant, right? And if you're taking to your kids somewhere like Legoland, obviously that's fine. You take them camping, it's fine. But I would, knowing your kid, their age, your personality, lean in, like don't bring them somewhere that it's going to be miserable, right? So I found places where where the hotel had lots of different things to do. So one hotel I took my oldest son to last year when he was 6 had like a scavenger hunt at the hotel. And it was actually really fun. Like he got these like prizes at the end, but we spent like 2 or 3 hours going around the property and you had to find this lion, find this fountain, like whatever. And you had to take pictures at all of them and show the like maitre d' or whatever, the pictures. So lean into that stuff, definitely come up with activities. I also brought with all of my kids, except my daughter when she was an infant, I would also bring toys that they were interested in, right? So last year with my daughter, who was then 2.5, I brought her like a little bag. She's really into Taylor Swift. I did like a bead making thing so she could make bracelets with me. She had a coloring book. So we went to the pool. My son, I brought magnetiles. Like I had stuff for them to do too. So it wasn't just like me staring at them the whole time. And the most fun age for you. Yeah, I think honestly, all of them have been fun. The only one that was, like I said, that was probably the most work was my daughter when she was like 1.5. I think that was just the one where like she couldn't really talk to me yet. The newborn one is honestly amazing because obviously she was a good sleeper. She was 8 weeks and she was sleeping from like 9 to 7, like 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. And she like slept. I brought the baby Bjorn bouncer that you can like collapse and I just like put her by the pool and I was having cocktails. Honestly, that was great. I was just so happy that she was not in my stomach anymore and I could have a margarita. And I think the older kids, they're fun in different ways. Like I think the 2, 3, 4-year-olds are fun because they're so cute. You're like walking through a hotel and everybody's like, oh my God, look at this adorable child. You're like sitting with them at a restaurant. It's really sweet. And then as they get older, like my oldest son, he's like my boy now. We're like bros, we have like real conversations. We like choose a movie to watch together in bed. I also, at all the hotels I go to, I always email them ahead of time and say, like, this is my kid's birthday, because I try to time it around their birthdays, and ask them to, like, if there's anything they can do to make it feel special for them. And a lot of times they do. They'll, like, leave a little beach ball with the hotel branding, or they'll, like, bring a ice cream sundae at night, or they'll do something special for the kid, which is really sweet, too. Any last questions? Okay. Well, this has been really fun, you guys. Thanks for coming. And I hope I see you at the next Auggie event. I'm hopefully going to do a few more this summer. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great day.